we had a lovely day with a non-election. The reason I say that is because of the lies that were aimed at the people in this country. We had gentlemen who decided they knew everything about everything, and they put so many comments on my page, and they wanted to ask answers in relation to voting. First, I'll deal with the liar. These two comments made by Anne Toomey in relation to voting. She said both of these are the same. As I said before, she's either lying, has never read them and doesn't know, and therefore, or she has no idea what they say. I've read both. I have both for a reason, so that I can make the statements I make, which is the only way I do things. Now, a gentleman came on and said the Constitution annotated one says so and so and so and so. I don't care what the annotated one. I'll read you something so that you can be clear because you come on my page and make a statement. Section 8. But in the choosing of senators, each elector shall vote only once. That's Section 8. This is so you're clear, so instead of me answering everything everyone wants. Now, Section 30. But in the choosing of members, each elector shall vote only once. That's for the House of Representatives. So that's clear. Have you got that clear? So you don't need to do that. Or come on my page and make me look like, or try to make me look like I got it wrong. No, I didn't. I read from this the other day. I quoted from this. Now, to the young lady, and she is, I don't care if she's Aboriginal, Father Christmas, or where she comes from, you made a statement that this is a racist document. No, I don't know where you got it from. The statement is not the truth. It is definitely not a racist document. You see, the state constitution of Western Australia recognises natives. Every native shall be fed, every native shall be clothed, every native shall be housed and given a small amount of money. Right down until half-caste. States that in the state constitution. Is that a derogatory statement? And half-caste? I don't like the term. Right down to 50% Aboriginal and 50% white, or other. Now, is that derogatory? No, it's not. Is it racist? Absolutely not. Let's clarify something. There's only one race on the face of this earth, the human race. We have different cultures in different areas right across the world, and that cannot be disputed. We have different languages, and it's dated back to a certain time in history that's covered in the common law. Now, as I've explained over the last couple of months, they had to meet a certain criteria to have an election. Did they meet it? No. Are they going to? No. Did they? No. So did we have a lawful election? No. This is an act to confer the Constitution on Western Australia. This has never been in place. What has been in place is this one. This isn't finished. It's not over because way before any of the counting's really done, less than 33% was done, and they declared Labor winners and Liberal not. Neither of them are winners or losers. They're liars and frauds, both of them. Every single political party and politician in them are liars. Frauds. This is the Constitution that is a fraudulent one with 32 sections. So if somebody wants this, we can send it to you with a simple on Messenger, or if you want to call around here, I can give you a copy, or you can print this out. It's not all that big. And you'll see what I mean. And you can have this one as well, which is the correct one. So you take these out of the question, there's no election anyway. But let's not stop there. This one, it's been said, and I know it has, and I know who said it, and I don't knock what he's doing because he's doing a lot of things. The 1918 Electoral Act is invalid because the Colonial Laws Validity Act says even if this, or our Constitution says, even if this act, being the Colonial Laws Validity Act, has never been enacted, no Parliament of the Commonwealth, of any of the colonies, can alter, interfere, or change any part of Imperial Act. And this, an act to consult and amend the law relating to elections to the legislature reserved the 13th of August 1889, royal assent proclaimed the 26th of June 1890. Now, the reason you know it's official, it's got everything that has to be complied with to have a lawful election. The biggest problem we have with the so-called election just happened wasn't lawful. Does that lift the case of the native people? No. What does it do? It literally says what I've always said. If an election wasn't held according to this, it was a fraud. Was the election a fraud? Yes. Is someone going to do about it? I don't know. Somebody with a brain and a bit of money should do something about it. I can't. I don't have either. I've got a brain, but I don't have the money. Now, this says how to make your vote count. You have to number 1 to 8 for the House of Representatives on this. If you don't, your vote doesn't count. It doesn't count. So anyone who says you can put a line through it, do this, do that, do the other, not telling the truth. This one is for the Senate. You vote above the line for 6 political parties. Each political party is 1,500 people. I've just read to you with the Constitution you vote for one person once. This is voting for hundreds. Or you vote below the line, 12 boxes for 12 people. None of which you really want. If you want to vote for one person once, which is what our law says, you can't. Why? Because the political parties changed it. Why did they change it? They do not give a hang about you. What has happened when Penny Wong came out and blabbed a big mouth about, the government's got $27 million in the slush fund to bring on The Voice. She indicated, and they actually did attempt to pervert every single person in this country into believing that The Voice can go through and people are going to just put it through, because we should have done it just like homosexuals and everything else. Even though, and I'm not saying you can't have your homosexual marriages or anything else, transgender, whatever you want, you cannot inflict it on the rest of the people. The Bible says, and that's a common law, that's an abomination to God. Anything else is a lie. You don't believe it's an abomination, you think 2 men should be together, 2 women, that's your opinion. It's against the common law, but it's your opinion. No one says you can't have your opinion. You can. Now, I watched some things. I talked about the lady who said the Constitution is racist. No, it's not. The Constitution actually refers to 2 issues. The object of the Constitution is every native shall be taught English. Is that a good idea? Possibly a good idea, since you reckon we took over the country, and there was lots of different languages and all the rest of it. Every native shall be taught the religion of the Commonwealth, which is Church of England. Was it forced on anybody? No. Can they force it on anybody? No. Because our Constitution, that's racist according to that lady, and it isn't, states clearly, 116, no government can legislate against a person's religion. So, if you don't want to be taught a religion, any of them, all you have to say, don't teach it to me. They can't legislate to do it. They have no power. Now, a couple of young blokes, Kangaroo Jack with his opinions, and Bruce Shillingworth. Now, I watched all your stuff, the Perriers. First, I'd like, before you speak for any of the natives of this country and any of the sovereign nations you call them, that doesn't exist. The first sovereign nation in this country was the Commonwealth of Australia. That is backed up with documentation. It was done by a majority of voters at the time. You were speaking for yourself. Where's your initiation marks? If you're speaking for whatever you call yourself, where are your initiation marks? You haven't got them. And when you go on your Facebook and you go back into your photos and look all around, half of you are whiter than I am. But you want to repatriate English or European people. Why? What did they do to you? Oh, are you referring to me? You know, your problem is you're not even thinking what you said. You give the cops a mouthful and you said, this is my country. Yeah, it's yours, it's mine, it's everybody else here. Why is it? Because the preamble to the decision, to the Constitution, and the actual authority to have the Constitution says, whereas the people of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia joined together in one indissoluble federation of the Commonwealth of Australia. Everybody. I'm well aware that you weren't able to vote. Queen Victoria knew it too. When you became able to vote, who did you vote for? I can tell you who you voted for. Bruce Shillingworth, Labor. You were encouraging people to vote Labor. And Kangaroo Jack, well, Kangaroo Jack, I don't think that's really your name. But if it's your nickname, good luck. It's a good name. Strong, holds up cars. I've seen them on cars. That's the Kangaroo Jack I refer to. Now let's refer to you two. Okay? If you who you say you are, first I'd like to see your initiation marks. First, I'd like you to come out and be honest about who's paid for everything you've done. This whole issue reeks and stinks of the political parties, and it wasn't just isn't just imagination. It was put there, it's been put together over the last few years. I knew about the notion or idea that somehow you've built all those buildings, including, now you've included pyramids, which you didn't even know where they were anyway, but some of them may be. The one in Gympie that they destroyed to put the highway through. But what about the others? But, you know, there is an ongoing problem. You think you can kick people out of this country, you can't. You talk about the Torres Strait Islander flag. You talk about the Aboriginal flag. Okay, nobody in this country that I know would object to a flag being put together which includes the British heritage, Italian heritage, the Greek, the Macedonian, and all these other people, the originals, as you call them, which aren't. We're not getting into that right this second. No one would object to having a flag which had all that on. Keating didn't do it for that reason. He did it to cause division. And all reference to what has been said by you two clowns, I call you clowns because you haven't thought through anything. The fact that you grew crops lies. No evidence was ever that. They didn't burn it out. They didn't destroy fences and everything. They weren't there. Not by you. Someone said the other day, what's a pygmy? Then the Negritos were pygmies. according to history, proper history. And in some places in this country, they're still here. They are the originals. They are. The people that are here now are not. You made reference to their flag, the flag of the so-called Aboriginal flag, the black, red, and ochre colour, or orange, whatever it is. They are the colours of the Black Power flag. That came into being courtesy of Paul Keating and his cronies, the Labor Party again. You see, every criminal act in this country has been done by the Labor Party, backed up by all the others. They're all guilty. You people cannot get it through your head. We're not racist. We're all one race. You discriminate against us when you come out with the nonsense you came out with. You come from New South Wales. New South Wales doesn't exist in law. And yet you've got all this beautiful map that was put together over a couple of years in South Australia, which shows all the so-called nations, sovereign nations. You weren't sovereign nations. How did you run your nation? And if you represent those people, where were the elders to back up your stories? Where were they? They weren't there. Why? Because they didn't exist. You see, your biggest problem is, in 1902 in August, New South Wales removed its constitution, replaced it with another one. It no longer complied with 106 of the constitution. Didn't. I've just said to you, and I can provide it, a copy of the state constitution of Western Australia put in place that proves what I said about having 32 sections missing. This one. It's available to you either by messenger, you can have it on your computer, you can print it out yourself, or if you call around here, we've got a few copies. This one is fraud. It was inflicted on Western Australia to the detriment of the rest of Australia. Why? Because to constitute the Commonwealth of Australia, you needed 6 states. Am I correct? Yes. 107, 108 and 109 establishes the states that are established. And they continue and draw their authority subject to the Commonwealth Constitution. Fact. Then, what happened then? Western Australia put a fraudulent one in. So Western Australia couldn't be constituted. We have never had a lawful parliament simply because we needed that constitution, the correct constitution in place, to be able to establish it. It's a letters patent. You can't touch it. You can't change it. Only with the signification of the Queen or the reigning monarch. That's clear. You see, I don't believe or don't follow any political parties because they're all wrong. You can't see that this is greed. Everything's motivated by greed. If every person left this country right now, there would be no one to run anything. Because quite frankly, there's not enough natives, or what you call sovereign people, to run everything. As for being able to read the weather and the stars and everything, come off the grass. Come on. The best scientists in the world can go to Stonehenge and still can't do that. They can come and look at that stuff that you're referring to and can't do it. Why do you persist in trying to make yourself look stupid by referring to that? Because that's all you're doing. I looked at it and I laughed. I looked everything you said and I laughed. Because you got one name you're using. If you're such a dedicated sovereign person, why are you using that name? Why are you using that name? That's not your name. You would have a tribal name which you should be using. But you can't figure that out either. You come on here and you expect people to believe you. All right. So how do I know we didn't have a lawful election? Because the Act never was complied with. Oh, you got all the reasons. See, Western Australia knows the election was a fraud. That's why they've launched an investigation into it. Why would you launch an investigation into it? Simply because it takes 3 months to come out, and by the time the election, purported election yesterday, come out, there's that many lies in front of you, you don't know which way is up. Penny Wong's pushing, we'll look back on this, and voice to the Parliament had to happen, and the majority of them want it. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because if the majority of them wanted it, I would have talked to them, looked at everything they've done, and see if it was good for them. I didn't have to. They decided it was crap. They decided it was lies. They decided it was fraud. When I refer to they, there was 5,000 odd people in Alice Springs that spent that period of time praying and voting against it. You talk to the average community, they don't want it. They don't want it. Why? Because it's detrimental to them. Who does it benefit? Aboriginal corporations. Someone came on and they were, it's 1 point something million or this and that. According to what I was told by a politician, the corporations got $52 billion. Where is it? I don't care where somebody says someone got this, someone got that. That's all nonsense. Produce the evidence. Where did that money go? That money was a benefit for all native people, being the people that were here before the white people came. For some unknown reason, I've got a tickly throat. I'll get with you in a tick. The problem we've got, every single thing that happened yesterday is a lie. If we had a lawful Governor-General, the Governor-General would have dismissed the whole lot and said, you're not going to run it that way. We don't. We have a brain-dead government lackey who lacks the intellectual ability to even tell the truth for 5 seconds. If you told the truth, you would tell us your allegiance is to the United Nations, the Communists, and the WEF, the WHO. That would be telling the truth, but you don't. So you can't be a representative of the monarch and a representative of the opposition. That's nuts, just like you. You prorogued the Parliament. How come Stupid was walking around calling himself the Prime Minister? All he did is a lie, cheat, and push people away that asked him questions he couldn't answer or didn't want to answer. He still has not explained with evidence that he is not Ellery, or is he lawfully who he says he is. He's lied about how he was brought up. He led a privileged life and ended up going through university, learning in our system of communist training centre being the universities, communist socialist nonsense buildings. He learnt all that. How come he's not coming through? Because he's not going to. Do you think that the Liberal Party were the opposition to him? No, they were all in bed together. Pushing pay. How much money is the purported leader of the Liberal Party going to get? He'll retire or he'll sit there and collect money. He's lost his seat, so he can't. So what's he going to do? Where's he going to get money from? Is he going to go overseas to the Chinese? If Labor had got kicked out, that's where Albanese and Penny got it wrong again would have gone. Back to their buddies. I'll put it this way. As long as I got breath in my lungs, and I know a lot of Australian people, the Chinese are never going to take this country over. If they try, they will be taken out. So will any politician that allows them in. You think I'm joking. I'm not warning you. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you. We, the people, I don't care what colour you are. I don't care about Bruce. And Kangaroo Jack, I don't care about yous. You're going to put in a place you're going to have to fight for this country. You talked about all the Aboriginals who fought in the war. Absolutely correct. Were they recognised when they come back? Absolutely were. You saying they aren't, they were. How do I know that? I have some people right close to where I'm living. Their grandfather fought in the war. They lived in New South Wales. He died in New South Wales. He spent all his life fighting for what? His family. These people here that are part of his family are all partial natives. So they claim that. That's fine. I've seen the evidence. But the DNA test shows they come from Polynesia. So where do you two come from? England? Yes. That's why you got the name Shillingsworth, isn't it, Bruce? Kangaroo Jack, you got that name off Jack for a car. But anyway, it's your nickname, fine. But if your name's Jack, that's okay. Kangaroo, that's okay too. If that's the name you want to use, that's your right. I get called everything. Sticky, Clag, Glug, Tarzan's Grip, all that garbage. Who cares? I got the surname Glue. You got to expect it. Who cares? Names are nothing. What you've got to understand, you two, you would be pushing to be 33, 34, maybe 35. I'm 77. I've been on this earth double the time you have. I've studied the law. I've studied all the things that pertain to the authority granted to the people by the reigning monarch. If you think that's wrong, then come out and prove what you're saying, because you can't. Everything you said is nonsense. You're not sovereign. You were here before the white people. Absolutely. I've never denied that. I've never denied your sacred site shouldn't be upheld. You haven't even looked at the fact that the Mabo decision was wiped out, totally destroyed and wiped out by the 1999 referendum because of the wording in it. Pick it up. I'm not going to tell you. Read it and understand. That's why you can't do your land claims in the High Court. You can only do them in the Federal Court. That's why they won't issue a title. They're not going to issue you a title, and you're too silly to think that these clowns with this voice are going to do anything other than take all of the land and hand it over to the United Nations. You can't see how they're going to do it. Have a long, hard look. They've got you to do all these things to say we don't own the land. We do own the land. Whoever purchased it, paid for it, owns it. You forget there's hundreds of natives of your breeding, I'll put it that way because it's more respectful, that have paid for their properties. You can't see that every stupid politician has given their land for what they believe in. Can they do it? No. Can they exist? No. We did not vote to give any authenticity to politicians. We vote to set up an executive, a legislature and judicature. It doesn't matter how many times I say it, I'm going to repeat it. The legislature debates and passes laws according to the Constitution. Do they put them together? No. So the Australian government is an absolute fraud. Did we vote them in? No. Because they never explained to the people that it was a fraud. Fraud vitiates everything, wipes it out at inception. I'm not asking you to just believe what I'm saying. I've got the documents, and the documents are available to know exactly what I'm talking about. The whole biggest problem in this country is people think, oh, it doesn't matter. They've done this, they've done that. It's rigged, yes. We all know it's rigged. We know it's a fraud, yes. We know they lied, yes. You know they're ripping you off. You know the lady come on and I looked at what she said last night. I've been watching a huge amount of videos the last couple of nights in relation to the election. She said they can't tax your earnings. They can tax companies. The big problem is we have nobody is interested in what we say. The politicians shut their minds. I obviously will have a discussion with a certain person who I've been in contact with and tried to show him that we do not have to force feed politicians. If you run a political party, you have to tell them the truth yourself. If you tell them they don't listen, kick them out, but you're not doing it. If you're financing them, you're just as guilty of the crimes that they're committing. The whole problem we have, and I'm not going to refer to any of the comments, if I cop a couple with what I say, good. What I am saying, the election was a fraud. Why? The lady, when I went up there, she didn't dispute one thing I said. I handed her a letter. I said, this letter is an objection to being able to vote. Why? I've attended here to vote. Whether I would vote or not is irrelevant if the correct people were there. I went there with the intention to vote. When I got there, there were no lawful candidates. Same idiots on these polling place papers. Same idiots. How can I vote for them knowing that they don't exist in law? They're criminals. How could you? How many of you did? I don't know. Doesn't matter. ALP, Greens, whatever. It's interesting to note that that lady from Pakistan in the Greens who was mouthing off about how we should pay for the damage of floods and everything in Pakistan. Well, that's interesting. Who's going to pay for the explosions if they drop a few nukes around the place like they're fighting at present, according to Facebook? Or is that just another scam to make it look like there's problems? But it's interesting also to note, why would we pay for emissions damage when Pakistan has coal-fired power stations? Why would we pay for emissions damage? Well, India has, and they're side by side. What's just above them to the northeast corner? China. Their power stations are all coal-fired. So this crazy woman who's in Greens Party, somehow she thinks that 0.04 of 1% would drift all the way around and conglomerate in Pakistan and cause all these troubles. One volcano would solve all of that, just wipe it all out. A couple of atomic bombs will wipe the lot of you out. Millions of people will die if you stupidly set off an atomic bomb over a stupid argument, something stupid some idiot did. Get the perpetrators, charge them, lock them up, or do what you have to them, but don't make the rest of the world suffer for your stupidity. To do that is you're just brain dead. Now, we've got to address one more serious thing. Anthony Albanese has brought over 1 million people, him and the Labor Party and all them, over 1 million people into this country. Labor in 1973 purported to change Immigration Act and backdated it to 1948. It negated the Act. The Act doesn't exist from then. So what exists? This. Our Constitution. In either form, this or in this simplified form, which is the actual text. Either way, you've got a problem. Either way. Simply because you can't run things the way you're running them. You can't have anything to do with putting laws together. You can't. You have to form an executive. The executive is the Governor General in Council. You've wiped that out, according to you. you have to set up a legislature, legislative assembly, legislative council. In federal level, it's the Senate and the House of Representatives. Where are they? No, you've got a cabinet. That's where you keep your grog and drugs, and you're all on them to be as stupid as you are. And then you've got the judicature, which is separate. You passed a law, according to you, in 1979 to control the High Court under the High Court Act. And then Cullerton revealed you make rules. Hang on, what happened to the separation of powers? Why are you involved in the High Court? Oh, because you want control. The traitors that put that in need to be dealt with according to law. Are they? No. The big problem we have is the lying fraudsters in this country, which are politicians, judges, lawyers, and the police are bowing to all of them. Why? What makes you think that you're going to get some really good brownie points and you're going to have a permanent job by throwing the towel in and sinking your country? Nothing. Now, I need to clarify something. We were born here. We're native. We were born here. We're indigenous. We're that fly Nick off, movie star. Now, what does that mean? It means we cannot be repatriated back to another country because we didn't come from one. My relatives have been here 6.5, 7 generations, something like that. Did they come here lawfully? Yes, they were brought here and they became brickmakers in Victoria. And you look up the name, the big brickmaking company, there's a museum there, I believe. I haven't even been to it, but I will one day, maybe. It doesn't worry me. I'm not looking for accolades. What I'm looking is for Australians to stand up for Australians. So if you two people who think you're so smart and had a lot to say about the people in this country, who you think they are, what they should do, you're still wet behind the ears when it comes to knowing the law and the information, and you know nothing. Just call that fly elbow. Yeah, I agree with that one, so I will answer that bit. No, the poor old fly. The maggots that they lay, that's more in his line. Anyway, let's get back to it. The fact of the matter is, you've come up with all these ideas why this should be done, that should be done. No, go back to the will of the people. Whereas the people, supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority goes to the people. Now, the big problem in New South Wales, in August 1902 they removed the constitution, as I explained. Where did they get the authority under that to recently change magistration after that? You only had 4 lawful states. Were the political parties or the politicians aware? Some had to be. You'd have to look for the evidence. If they did, they committed acts of treason on the Crown of England and us. Now, the big problem you have then is the 1909 Act was in the Federal Parliament. It didn't exist. It stopped existing because it was never ever created because they didn't have the 6 constitutions in there. It couldn't. Opinion, no. Fact of law, yes. So, the 1909 Act to obtain 100 miles square, 100 miles from Sydney, to create the ACT, being Canberra, I believe at the time. It's changed to ACT, Australian Capital Territory. Read the Act. Read the Constitution. 123 says clearly you needed permission of the parliaments of the state. Did you get it? I don't know. Did you run a referendum? No. Could you? No. Because you didn't have a lawful state. So New South Wales wasn't there. So good old Mr. Shillingsworth, your state didn't exist. So did you own it? No. Did anybody? No. It belonged to the Commonwealth of Australia, but you had no way of changing anything because there was no courts or anything in that state to do anything. Fact, yeah, constitutional reality. Then you got the problem. You set up your own harbour. Under what authority? You took more land off the state of New South Wales without going to the people. What does the Constitution say? I'll read it because somehow it hasn't sunk into your thick head. And I mean that, thick head, because you're not listening. 123 is clear. The Parliament of the Commonwealth may, with the consent of the Parliament of the state and the approval of the majority of the electors of the state voting upon the question. You've got to vote, see? You have to. You haven't got the choice. Increase, diminish, or otherwise alter the limits of the state upon such terms and conditions as may be agreed upon and may, with the like consent of the Parliament and the people, make provision respecting the effect and operation of any increase or diminution of or alteration of territory in relation to any state affected. Now, that's clear. Absolute majority of the people of the state to agree. Well, where was it? You couldn't anyway. You couldn't neither propose it, because we didn't have a lawful federal parliament, nor could you put it to the people of New South Wales. So, you've got a big problem there. There is no seat of government. So where should it go? Back to Melbourne, until such time as that's created lawfully. But you can't do that, because the idiot there fired on the people. That parliament, until it sorts out the treason and the war they committed on the people by firing, doesn't matter if it's little plastic paintballs or plastic balls. You fire on the people with the military, that's blatant treason. What's the courts doing about that? Besides nothing. You've got no guts to do it. That's your trouble. You're too busy pushing your Fabian, Freemason and all the rest of your crap to let these idiots off. Why? What's in it for you? Nothing, because you're not getting anything. Except you're going to a barbecue one day and you're the meat. You better wake up to that fact. You're committing crimes against the people. Chappelle Corby wrote a book. You took everything off her for that book, so she couldn't profit. And yet you idiots commit a crime every friggin' day and you get paid. And you keep taking the money and you keep getting a pension, which is not in the Constitution. So if it's not there, you can't have it. You need a referendum. The pension thing is an independent body. No, it's not. It's a company registered to the Commonwealth of Australia, which is a corporation. Except for one fact, and that's what we're checking on now, whether Trump dissolved those corporations in America. If he did, all of you are operating totally in fraud and treason. All of you. So before you clap your hands, Albanese, the big problem is the elections are fraud. I didn't go there to vote. I went there with the intention of submitting documents that proved I couldn't vote because of your stupidity with your paperwork. Nothing more, nothing less. So what I'm going to leave you with, and you better listen to this, I promise you that the people in this country, and there's a lot, are rising up. They're going to come along and they're going to throw you out of their office because you don't belong there. You understand that? Albanese, Penny Wong, and all the rest of you clowns. You're sitting in treason. Understand this, if you've been financing these fleas, you're guilty of what they did. So all your state parliaments that are sitting in treason, and you all are, you've all removed your constitutions and replaced them, contrary to 106. You see, you should really read HCA 39 of 1915, paragraph 148. Sir Samuel Griffiths, one of the people who wrote the Constitution, said, "Here you find 106 binds the state constitution and all laws made pursuant to it to the overriding authority of the Commonwealth Constitution. Clarify that. Kirby said, and he said it rightly several times, no Parliament by preambular assertion can speak an authority into being when none exists in law. So where did you get the authority to do it? You didn't. You don't have it. And until every single letters patent backed constitution of each state is put in place, we don't have any lawful elections, state or federal. Is that an open slather for young blokes like these two I referred to come in and stand over people and take it? No. That would result in something you couldn't handle. I respectfully suggest you pull your head in. Stop ridiculing native people who are standing up trying to help yous and help everybody else. If they join a political party, they're wrong. It's an interesting thing that a Noongar race, according to what the so-called elders in Bunbury said, they don't want anything to do with anyone outside. Well, how come the Noongars were in Lord Street, Lockridge, Calicabadi in Beachborough, Saunders Street in Upper Swan? There's quite a few hundred miles between the whole lot. So how did they stretch over there? And then you superimpose that on your so-called map. It makes your map a lie. What makes it a bigger lie? The Mundys owned the airport. They sold it. They didn't give it to the Noongars. Bob Brofo come from Queensland. Frank Brofo come from Queensland. So did Albert. So did Thomas Nathaniel. They come here with the Stuart troop. What gave them the right to say we're Noongars? If they come from Queensland, what about that sovereign nation according to you two blokes? Have you figured out half of what you've actually said? No. Because you do not want to know the truth. And then the big problem, you're renting your property. Why would you pay your payments anymore? Are all the real estate agents ripping you off? Yes, they are. They are. If you are not buying your property, where's that on any of the documents that it's a lease or rental? And if it's a rental, why do we have to pay the councils to provide the services for it? What about the tax? What about the rental amount? Where is the rental? Are we going to pay rental to these sovereign citizens, subjects? No. You're not getting a cent. Not now or any other time. Wake up your problems. Wake up your minds to your problems, mind you. Really, if somebody boycotted the ballot, if your name was there and there was no other record, they would have just ticked it off. Some people said there were no papers in some places in Victoria. That doesn't surprise me. It wasn't an election. They wanted you to vote the political parties to rule over you. Because they didn't print it out and let you know, they misled and deceived you. That's fraud. The whole election's a fraud. Time to wake up. Get rid of the results. Have a proper election with proper lawful governors and a lawful Governor-General. We got none of it. If you don't believe me, then you may as well not even turn on to my Facebook page anymore, because it's a waste of time. The big problem is you don't want to listen. You, as Bosey said, he got upset. If you've seen what Bosey saw in his time in the army, you would have pretty well the same attitude as he did. I saw his speech. I heard it. The language was a bit ripe. I've seen people who've been put under a heck of a lot less stress than he's ever been under let fly at people. And what he said about crimes against children in some of the Aboriginal communities, that's a big inquiry on that, and that was just hushed up. And as for you, Bruce, I've got something to say to you. You refer to Aboriginal deaths in custody. I was in the police force when two people died. One died, their liver bled out. We checked him. 7 minutes later, we went back to check him. He was gone. Nothing we could do for him. The next one, it was a freezing cold night. We allowed her to keep her woolly jumper. She tied one end around the bars, the other one around the neck, put her hands down the back of her pants and sat down. No hope of getting up and getting the stranglehold off herself. She vomited and swallowed it. The reason I'm explaining what happened is because I had to go to an inquiry. I had no problem going there. I had done nothing except try to save a life. And this idiot lawyer said I should have given her mouth to mouth. She swallowed a vomit. I had my fingers in her mouth trying to pull all the vomit out. I got a strong stomach, so I can do that thing. I tried everything to save that woman's life. When her lungs are full of vomit, we couldn't get an ambulance there quick enough. We tried everything. The ambulance was red. Everything was done. And yet still, they accused us of doing something detrimental. Something like you, Bruce, are accusing people. I don't know what happened in every case. A lot of them were deaths through heart attack and different things. You cannot be there. The recommendations were they are monitored 24/7. They're done. A person there looking after them, that's done. You can only do so much. Then it's up to the person. But if they're sick, doesn't matter. What do you do with the drug? Are you doing anything with the 42 billion or whatever amount of money you get so there's some place for those people to go? No, you're not. Are you helping them? No, you're not. You see them walking down the street with a bottle of beer, drinking from it. How are you helping that person? You're not. You accuse us of not doing all these things, so somehow we're guilty of killing him. Is that what you're going to say? It took me a long time to get over the fact I couldn't save that woman. Should I have to go through that? No. Should anybody have to go through that? No. No one knew she was suicidal. No one knew anything. She just had had enough. You see, people walk out and say, I'm going to kill myself. They very rarely do it. People who go and kill themselves, especially like that, had predetermined what they were going to do and did it. And they did. And it's so bad, the problem we have is we can't help those people. And then you talk about the amount of young Aboriginal people and who get incarcerated, the young blokes. What are you doing about them running the streets, smashing windows, especially in Geraldton at this time? They run around breaking windows of cars and everything else. What are you doing about that? I'm not talking about the locals who have a problem looking after their kids, and some of them do, whether it's alcohol abuse, drugs or whatever. What are you doing to help those people? Isn't the money given from us to your corporations to help those people? Even Bundyarra, they provide the land in the area, but the state government had to come in and pay for all the buildings on there because there was nothing from the corporations to pay for it. How long before you people are going to wake up? We've got to work together. When it's determined who has what and what you should have, above everything, we've got to look after your sacred sites. I've always said that, and I agree. The same as we got a church, you've got no right to smash all the windows and break in and steal stuff. Nobody has. And we don't do it to you, nor should we. When a mining company does it, and I've seen some of the things that have been done, and they've just ignored it. So, I really... Yeah, all right. The thing is, I've got nothing more to say because memories come back, and they do. And they're bad. But I've done everything I can to make this place a better place to live in. Thanks.